Today we're making koftas and turning them into a delicious curry. If you didn't know, kofta means to grind, which refers to the ground meat that we're going to use. In saying that, we can use any meat of our choice, lamb, beef or chicken. I'm using lamb for this recipe and we're going to need 500 grams or 1.1 pounds.
Now to flavour our mince, I'm using one brown or yellow onion, slice it in half, peel it, and then slice across, making thin slices. Do the horizontal slice if you like to do that, and dice into small to medium sized pieces, trimming off any excess flesh. Grate 3 cloves of garlic and 10 grams of ginger on a microplane to create a paste, and you can mix these two together because they're going into the dish at the same time. An optional ingredient is one long green chilli that can be sliced in half and left in half, or you can roughly chop it, either leaving the seeds in or removing them. Separate the stems and roots from the leaves of one bunch of coriander or cilantro. Finally chop the stems and roots. This will be used in our base to create a foundation flavour. And with the leaves, either leave them whole or give them a quick rough chop. This is going to be used as a garnish right at the end. We do also need another diced onion, but you don't need to see me do that again. For the masala, add 2.5 teaspoons of Garam Masala, 2 teaspoons of ground cumin, 1.5 teaspoons of ground coriander, 1 teaspoon of ground turmeric, and 1 teaspoon of Kashmiri chili powder. Give this all a quick mix to combine and then set it aside for the time being, and this right here is our homemade curry spice mix. Place a pan over medium-high heat, add in 1 tablespoon or 14 grams of ghee or clarified butter, and by the way, all ghee is clarified butter, but not all clarified butter is ghee. No need to let the pan fully heat up or for the butter to melt. Add in the onions, a small pinch of salt, and saute for about 3 to 4 minutes or until translucent and slightly golden. You can skip this step, however you will lose a lot of flavour within our koftas, so I do highly recommend doing so. Now for the koftas, use 500 grams or 1.1 pounds of either lamb, beef or chicken mince. I am using lamb for this. Add in the sauteed onions as well as any of that ghee that's in the pan, then add in 2 teaspoons of garam masala, nice pinch of salt and a little bit of cracked black pepper. 10 cracks worth. Mix it all together with clean hands, ensuring all of the spices and onion is incorporated. Sorry, I am using gloves. I do have a little bit of a burn on the top of my hand and it's not very nice to look at. But make sure that you have this nice and mixed through. You don't have to be super accurate with this. However, I like to weigh the total amount and then divide it by how many meatballs you'd like. That way everything is the same size and we all know it's going to cook evenly. Also try and get these quite compact, otherwise we run the risk of them falling apart when searing. A good number to go for is about 12 to 14 koftas. Place the same pan that we used for the onions back over a medium-high heat. Melt 1 tablespoon of ghee or clarified butter and add in the koftas in batches if your pan isn't big enough, and sear for about 5 to 6 minutes or until golden all over. It is okay to move these around, but like I said, with making sure that they're a little more compact, don't provoke them too much as they can fall apart from excess movement. Once seared, remove them from the pan and then just repeat with any remaining batches, or if you've done them all in the one pan, you don't need to worry. Place that same pan back over a medium-high heat yet again, add in another 1 tablespoon of ghee or clarified butter, allowing it to melt. Add in the second brown or yellow onion, which is the one I didn't show me cutting up. We're going to saute this for about 5 to 6 minutes, getting that nice colour, allowing it to pick up any of the flavour that's been left behind from our lamb. Then we can add in the garlic and ginger, the green chilli, as well as the roots and stems of the coriander or cilantro, and continue cooking for about 2 minutes to get this really nice and fragrant. Right now, this is going to smell beautiful and it's going to rip up all of the flavour on the bottom of the pan. Add in the curry spice mix and then mix this all together, cook it for about 1 minute, and if you find that it's getting too hot and these start to burn almost immediately, turn your pan down to medium. We don't want this to burn, it will go bitter and ruin our curry and you'll need to start again. For the base of our gravy, add in 1 can or 400 grams of diced or crushed tomatoes, 2 tablespoons or 30 grams of concentrated tomato paste, 200 milliliters of chicken or vegetable stock, 1 cup of coconut milk, and then season to taste with salt, and you can also add a little bit of cracked black pepper here. Mix this all together, allow all of those flavours to become friends. All of this liquid will pull up any of the remaining flavours stuck to the bottom of the pan, and then we want to bring this to a boil, reduce it to low, and let it simmer for 10 minutes. You can serve the curry with whichever sides you like. I'm using half a cinnamon stick here, 3 green cardamom pods, 3 whole cloves and 2 teaspoons of whole cumin. Add those to a saucepan, place it over a medium heat and toast for about 1.5 to 2 minutes. Add in 1.5 cups of basmati rice that's been washed, 600 milliliters of cold water and a pinch of salt. Mix this all together to prevent any lumps and then bring it up to a boil over a high heat. Once it is at a boil, place on a lid, reduce the heat to low and then cook for 12 minutes undisturbed. Going back to the gravy, start adding in the meatballs or koftas, along with any resting juices. There was a little bit of onions left in the pan, which I'm adding it all in because it just creates even more flavour. Mix in all of those additional flavours, make sure that the koftas are completely covered in the sauce, and then cook for a further 10 minutes over a low heat. This will ensure that our koftas are fully cooked all the way through. Once the rice has been cooking for 12 minutes, turn it off the heat and leave the lid on for another 4 minutes, and then remove any of those hard woody spices like the cinnamon or even the cardamom pods. The cloves and the cumin seeds are completely fine because they do soften up. And then fluff the rice with a fork or a spatula, and that leaves us with this nice jeera or cumin rice. You'll get 4 decent servings out of this. You can push it to make even more if you make those koftas smaller. I like to add over that green chili too, and then just load this up with sauce. If you like the sauce thinner, you can add more chicken stock, but I find that this is the perfect consistency. Garnish it with a little bit of coriander or cilantro, and then we can serve this up. Make sure that you don't forget the rice, and then serve it with a little bit of naan as well for that extra special touch.
Now with everything said and done, there is only one thing left to do, and that is of course, we can then dig in.